What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another Overwatch League news video. Today we have some breaking news to cover as casters Sideshow and Bren are both stepping away from the Overwatch League in 2022. For many, this may come as a major surprise, seeing as those two are so well recognized and well received within this community, but for others it might not be all that surprising, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But either way, regardless of your stance, we all have to agree that Sideshow and Bren are probably two of the most beloved figures within the Overwatch League community. They were two of the most popular personalities on the broadcast team without a doubt, and they're going to be missed severely. Sideshow and Bren basically put out an identical statement on their Twitter accounts explaining what's going on. It's a very general statement that just again states that they're leaving and they're gone, but I thought I'd read it out anyway. Bren and I currently do not have an agreement for 2022 with the Overwatch League, marking the end of our 4 years as broadcast talent. We wish the league and our colleagues the best of luck for Overwatch 2. Then he goes on to say in a subtweet, "We've been there since day one, called some incredible moments, and made the broadcast better where we could. We're still around the scene with Plat Chat or co-streams, and we're working other freelance broadcast work in esports. You won't be rid of us just yet." This really is a very blanket-like statement, I guess you could say. Very general, doesn't really explain all that much as to why they departed, but at the end of the day, it's business, and that's their decisions on what they want to say and what they're not going to share with us. In my eyes, that's maybe a little concerning, but again, none of my business. They'll share stuff when they feel like it. But really, this is just a very sad time for us fans because Sideshow and Bren, as they kind of said in their tweets, they've been here since day one. They've been a really important part of the broadcaster team, I would say. They really gave them a bunch of life and personality along with Uber and Mr. X, of course. They were a really integral part of making the broadcast talent interesting and just fun to listen to. Not everybody loved their style of casting, but I would say most of us really appreciated what they did based on their personalities, and I really think that they had good analysis, especially Sideshow. If you watch some of his streams and when he was on the desk, he nailed that stuff pretty well usually, so it's very devastating in my eyes, and it's going to be tough to recover from this, because now we're basically down to just one really iconic duo at this point with Uber and Mr. X. What I'm thankful for at the end of the day, though, is they're still going to be around. We'll see them on Plat Chat and co-streams sometimes, but you also are probably going to see them in other leagues and events. I mean, it's not like they're retiring from esports, In my eyes, this indicates that they're definitely looking towards some work in Valorant. Those two love that game. Sideshow does analysis all the time. We see Bren stream his ranked games a lot on there. That is their game. Overwatch hasn't really been that interesting to them as of late. It's pretty obvious. From what I can recall, Bren actually has publicly stated that his interest in Overwatch has been fleeting, and I'm assuming that Sideshow is in a very similar boat, considering how much they enjoy Valorant these days. It just seems like they're calling now. That's the new game they've got to move on to, the one that they have the most passion for, so hey, I can't really blame them if that's the reason they're leaving. That's my positive way for explaining this anyhow. For all I know, there could be even more of a reason behind it. You really don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Maybe Bren and Sideshow both just aren't happy with the state of Blizzard. I mean, nobody is right now. Maybe they don't want to work for that type of company anymore, and who could blame them if that's the case? And you never know what kind of disagreements might happen as well. Perhaps Blizzard tried to get a contract extension going with both of them, but the two of them just didn't like what they were hearing. A very similar thing happened in 2019. Monty and Doa explained that's part of the reason that they left. They just did not like the direction that the league was taking and what the broadcast management was doing and everything. It just wasn't right to them. So maybe Sideshow and Bren feel very similarly. I doubt it just because they've seemed like they've had a lot of fun these last few years, but you never really know. In the middle of me recording this, I'm actually starting to think more and more that it might be a negotiation issue because that's what the reaction overall seems to be on social media from other talent out there, like Puckett, for example. Puckett actually makes it out like this might be a money thing, as he says the leagues have the money. Why aren't they investing in their homegrown top-tier talent? Sideshow is on the short list of best broadcasters in esports. This is a huge oof from OWL, especially if Riot Games is smart and locks him up for Valorant. And Puckett's not the only one, right? There's other people saying a very similar thing, as well as journalists in the scene. They're all trying to make it seem like it's probably the league's fault, and I wouldn't be surprised at this point. I do love this league with all of my heart, but I also recognize that this isn't the first time they've fumbled the bag, if you will. So yeah, if it is their fault, I'm not surprised. At the end of the day, though, this is all speculation. We don't really know why exactly, at least from what I can tell on social media and everything like that. Maybe we'll get more explanations soon after this video comes out, but right now that's kind of where we stand. That's enough about that though. Let's take a few moments to just appreciate Sideshow and Bren, because we're all very thankful for what they did, I'd imagine, you know? 4 straight years of dedication to this league, trying their best to make it as interesting as humanly possible, providing us with top-notch quality content even outside of the league. I really appreciate those guys, like, they're great. And I know their casting wasn't for everybody, but I personally thought it was very enjoyable. It was very different compared to the very traditional casting approach, which made it more fun in a way, very unique to listen to. But of course, they were also pretty enjoyable on the desk for those of you who actually paid attention to that back in the day, because in 2018 and 2019, they made that desk extra special. Sideshow, again, like I was talking about before, for his analysis and everything, but then you have Bren and his silly antics, like going on this tirade saying that the 2018 Shanghai Dragons are going to win a game and whatnot. Really funny stuff. I also thought they just brought a lot of good energy and synergy with some of the other people on the desk, whether it be Zoe or Puckett, Malik, Crumbs, Reinforce, whoever it may have been. I can still vividly remember so many different memories and situations where I really just had so much fun listening to them, and it was a great time back then, you know? Those are some of my best memories. They brought some of them to the forefront, and they made me enjoy the game even more. But you know, even their play itself was really fun to watch, not just on stream, but also just the fact that we had the whole broadcast takedown thing that happened throughout the last few years during the All-Star events. I mean, those were always so great. Sideshow and Bren were classics in all of those. You have the Brittle Maker and the Brenji. I mean, just so great. Then just last year, we had the Sideshow versus Bren teams. And there was that time where Bren absolutely rolled everybody in the 2019 All-Star match that happened. Just so many great things went on with those guys. They really brought a lot of life to this league. And I mean, come on. Who could forget about the Bren walkouts or the 1v1 Widowmaker matches against Gesture and Baby Bay? Instant classics. And it's funny, back in their heyday, they even used to make enjoyable content outside of the league with these epic battle of like the Timmies or whatever it was called, where they'd build these teams, they'd hold tryouts, and then all of the broadcast talent would go up against each other, and usually Bren and Sideshow would meet in like the finals and stuff. There's just so many great memories that keep going on and on. It makes me more and more sad when I think about it. The league seriously will not be the same ever again without these guys. They just brought such different energy compared to everybody else. It was so enjoyable to watch and listen to. Don't get me wrong, we have other people that I still very much love. Uber and Mr. X are classics. Zoe's amazing. Reinforce, Custa, all of those guys. I love everybody that we have on the broadcast team. But without these integral pieces that have been here since the beginning, there really are a lot of question marks about what's going to happen next. Are other OGs like Uber or Zoe, Mr. X, etc. all going to leave as well? We really don't know what the future is going to hold, and that's very scary and very upsetting. So I say, regardless of how sad we are about this news, that we just live in the present and enjoy what we have, because you never know when we might lose it. On the topic of enjoying broadcast talent while we have it, I really do wonder what the league is going to do now that we have a hole with Sideshow and Bren leaving. Are we going to see them get replaced by people? I'd love to see Leg Day as well as Lemon Kiwi get their shot. I think they've both done a fantastic job, and I appreciate the energy they bring as well as their commitment to this game over the years. Or alternatively, are we just going to see the league make do with what they have and maybe put a bit more pressure on the other casters to make up for the games that Sideshow and Bren would usually cast? Because back in the day during Season 1, we only had 3 casting duos, so maybe we're going to move more towards that again. I personally would advise against this decision because that just makes everybody else's lives a lot more difficult, but we do have an equal number of casters in both regions, I believe, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But also, you never really know who else might end up leaving. I don't know what's going to happen with like Doa, for example. What if he decides to leave again and he doesn't come back? Then we're down to even less casters and we're going to need to make even more adjustments. So honestly, I think just adding in a new duo would help bring a lot of well-needed coverage. But maybe that's just my opinion. I also don't know what the budget situation is for the league, so we'll just leave it at that, and I'll let you guys decide what the best course of action would be. But anyway, that pretty much does it for this video. I wanted to really thank Sideshow and Bren for everything that they've done. They really do deserve it. They were absolutely amazing. An absolute pleasure to have on the desk and in the casting booth for the last 4 years, and I wish them the best of luck in whatever they may do next. And hopefully, maybe under better circumstances, they'll return to the league. But until then, guys, that's all I've got for you. I hope you enjoyed this news video. Make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.